Bike racing is terrifying. I get a lot of comments in my videos from people saying they love riding but wouldn't consider racing because of the risk of crashing. I've broken both of my collarbones. Will?
Yeah, broken a collarbone. Easy to do.
Sierra behind the camera, broken 3 collarbones. She only has 2, she broke 3. UCI, USAC, your local governing body, is aware of this, and they've attempted to address the hazards of bike racing by doing some dumb stuff.
Yeah, gear restrictions, bar width restrictions. They've banned the Supertuck, and now they're even contemplating banning deep carbon rims.
Yeah. All of this is in an effort to reduce speeds and improve overall rider safety. But what if there's a better way? Okay, so let's address each of these, starting with the Supertuck. It is faster. It rewards bike handling, and it should be banned in the peloton for sure. But I would argue, and I did in a video from like 3 or 4 years ago, that solo off the front, I think the rider should be able to Supertuck.
Yeah, I agree. It's a much faster way to control going at speed. You have control of the bike via the drops on the handlebars compared to a lot of what we're seeing now, which is holding on to the tops there at 50 miles an hour.
And that's the problem, is like they've banned the Supertuck, but what riders have done is circumvented this rule, and it comes down to this very specific interpretation. Like there has to be points of contact with the saddle, and now it's like, where's the point of contact?
Yeah.
We won't get into details on that, but it makes it way more unsafe. It's basically the opposite of what they're trying to achieve, because now you have riders adopting this crazy position like you were talking about as a junior with the gear restrictions.
Yeah, in junior races, we had gear restrictions. The Supertuck was still allowed then, but you would just have a pack of 50 to 70 juniors super tucking together, which...
in a peloton.
Yeah, that's not safe.
Wild. And speaking of gear restrictions, that's another thing the UCI and other local governing bodies have implemented in the interest of safety. And to me, this I just don't understand, because here's the thing, like riders are fitter and nutrition's better than it's ever been, so they can push that power, and if you limit their gearing, like all they're gonna do is just spin faster. And then do things like the aforementioned unsafe but technically legal Supertuck now happening mid-pack. And I feel like it's just biting the UCI in their ass. Like it's accomplishing the opposite of what they set out to.
Another hard thing with gear restrictions is you have to regulate them. So you have rollouts. When we were juniors, you would report to the start of the race and they'd push your bike backwards to see how many gear inches you have. It's a whole nother thing you have to do before a race. The officials have to do more. It just makes the racing so much worse. I'm
building a bike now. Video is gonna come out about a new bike I'm building. I'm excited about it. And one of the things I'm doing is I'm putting this monster gear on there. 54 with a 10. Not because I'm gonna push a 54-10, but because I want to be mid-cassette. And if they restrict gearing, I'm just gonna spend, even at our level of racing, I'm gonna spend all my time in like those final 2 gears. And, you know, we live in an era of like grams here and watts there. Having just your chain mid-line, straight chain line is like 5 watts or like some, maybe even more. Like it's significant. So I just don't buy the gear restriction argument for rider safety. So in fairness, there's some things the UCI is doing that does actually make sense. I think that restricting the depth of a carbon rim kind of makes sense. I mean, anybody who's gone out on 80s in a crosswind, especially you lighter riders, you climbers that I'm talking about, it can be terrifying.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see double discs everywhere. Weird look.
Yeah. So then what if there's a better way to address this safety issue that we're facing in this sport? Like what are other sports doing, for example? I mean, NFL, standard helmets for safety. Yeah. You're more into motorsports than me. There's a ton in motorsports.
There's a lot of regulations in motorsport, and for good reason. They're going fast, and you need safety equipment. MotoGP, rider airbags just became a thing. So you'll see guys just walking around after a crash, and they're all puffed up like the Michelin Man. It looks ridiculous, but it's
safety.
Very good for safety. It prevents a lot of injuries.
On that note, another super popular motorsport, F1. Basically the motorsport equivalent of crit racing. Every time somebody asks me what's crit racing, I'm like, F1 for bikes. It's the best way to describe it. That's basically what it is. So it's a good analogy. And F1 has set tire size, very limited selection of tire compounds from a very specific manufacturer of said tire compounds. So like, point is there's tons of restrictions around tires. So why isn't this the same for bike racing?
And here's our hot take. It should be. It's gonna sound extreme, but stick with me. 40mm tires required in races for all road bikes. We've thought about this a lot and even tested it. Bigger tires make racing safer, more enjoyable, and make for more dynamic and exciting racing for both fans and athletes.
How could bigger tires possibly make racing more exciting, you're wondering? Well, think about it this. Let's start with aerodynamics. Obviously impacted by bigger tires, larger frontal area. Now, it depends on your speed, it depends on a few things actually, but somewhere in the range of 10 to 20 watts with bigger tires that you are leaving on the table aerodynamically. So if you're on the front of the bike race, there is a larger aerodynamic penalty, and it simultaneously makes the drafting better for those riders behind you. So what we're gonna see with our hypothetical 40 millimeter requirement is more pack racing, more pack sprinting. And maybe it's just me, maybe it's because I'm a sprinter, but watching a rider solo the final 50 kilometers is just not that exciting as a reduced sprint. I love that cat and mouse at the end of a race when you have a small group coming together the final few kilometers. To me, that's the most exciting racing. Think about, what would you rather see? A solo rider coming in to that final velodrome at Paris-Roubaix, or a group of 5 like going up and down the boards? Like that, to me, that's exciting. And we'll see more of that with 40 millimeter tires.
Yeah, and in a similar vein, the additional weight of bigger tires makes racing more exciting as well. It's not huge, but adding the extra sealant, it does become more significant. Add something like 400 grams to the overall bike weight. This becomes something of an equalizer. Think about the total system weight. Those additional 400 grams are more significant as a percent for the smaller riders. So it's going to impact them more and make that uphill racing a little bit closer knit between the big riders and the small.
Right. If you and your bike weigh 130 pounds, 400 grams is a much larger percentage than if you and your bike weigh 200 pounds. So nothing against Taddy. I think he's an exciting racer, but he's still gonna win, let's be honest. But watching him solo the final 15 kilometers of whatever, Alpe d'Huez, I'd rather see him come up there with 3 or 4 other climbers and then have, again, that cat and mouse battle. To me, that's exciting.
Yeah, like Jonas Abrahamsson or Mads Pedersen, dudes who always hang on for those uphill things. You're like, that's a big boy. That's kind of cool to see.
Yeah. Maybe Taddy won't win all of them, actually, if they make it. And what about rider safety? Well, let's talk about rolling resistance. So, of course, it depends on the roads, it depends on the rider, it depends on a lot of things. But in general, it's about 5 watt penalty riding a big 40 millimeter tire compared to the 28 or 30 millimeter counterpart. Slower is safer. And let's not forget, that's the entire aim of this whole endeavor by the UCI, is to slow the riders down for safety. This is just an easier way to do it. And on the note of safety, talk about a couple of other things that 40 millimeter tires will offer. One of which is bike handling. It's just like big old 40 millimeter tire is gonna have this monster contact patch. That's the area of the tire that is touching the ground. You can corner like a demon. You won't see riders washing out, especially when the rain starts falling. Way safer on that note. And Will's probably gonna know what I'm talking about. You're mid-pack, it's a consequential moment in the race, you're maximizing that draft, bam, pothole. You can't see it. Nobody's giving you the coffee ride call out on the pothole in the middle of a race. If you have a big old 40 millimeter tire, it's gonna absorb a lot of that impact.
It's gonna help a lot.
Which is a good segue into comfort.
40 millimeter tires turn even the roughest roads into a dream smooth pavement. It's better for training, it's better for racing. Think about it, road bikes don't even have shocks. So we're one of the only sports with wheels that you don't have suspension. Our only suspension is gonna be how much that tire absorbs. And with a 40 millimeter tire, you're roughly doubling your suspension, which is gonna be huge whenever you hit those small road imperfections.
It's the only thing, the tire is the only thing on a road bike, to your point about the only sport with wheels that doesn't have suspension. The only thing that's preventing that road chatter and vibration from entering your skeleton is the tire. So if you go from if you haven't done this, do this. Go from 28s to 40s, you're gonna be like, oh my God, this is so comfortable.
You're gonna love the way it feels.
You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. How could the UCI implement this massive sweeping change when 90% of the road bikes on the market cannot even accommodate 40s? Well, think about it this way. They also just banned gearing and bar widths that affect like 70% of bikes on the market. So we're not saying it would be an easy overnight change. I'm not even saying it's gonna happen in the next year or two, but it's something that would need to be rolled out over the next 5-10 years. And as for us amateurs, good news. The market is flooded with last generation gravel and all-road bikes that honestly perform closer to like high-performance road bikes than ever. And the good news is they can accommodate 40s. So get a cheap bike, have really high performance on big old beefy 40 millimeter tires, and hopefully that will make you race more. Will that make you guys race more? Have we made a compelling argument, or are we just having this harebrained idea out on a bike ride? Let us know in the comments. Will, great having you on, buddy.
Thanks, Jeff.
Catch you guys in the next one.